not signed and they're hand-drawn by a contractor, you have 30 days to respond. So there is time frames there. I usually spend two hours in the office, an hour in the morning, returning phone calls in the days I'm not here. And then go do my inspections, come back, spend an hour or two in the office, either processing permits or, doing what I have to do to close the day out. I just kind of do what I have to do that day. And sometimes I either go home or I go to my other township, which is Easttown. The other end of the county.
I mean, because I know there was, I guess I'll call them, some complaints about, being able to schedule inspections and things like that. Do you feel, because that's a decision as we're coming up on budget season, if we were to have you here for more hours or, is that something that would be easier?
Personally, I couldn't be here on any other days. You know what I mean? Because 3 days a week I'm in Easttown Township for the same company. They would have to have another inspector here.
Is there anybody else available for them other days, Rob?
That's possible. We take care of West Bradford, we take care of Chatsford, Delco, we do Copson, Chatsford, I know Franny does that, Harry does West Bradford, Harry does Westchester, mechanical, plumbing firm. We have guys in the area. It would probably be just inspections for those days that
Right.
what it's
Well,
gonna
that-
be,
that's- That was the complaint I've
but it's
gotten
gonna be
from
one
people.
inspection or two inspections.
Right.
That's all it's gonna be. It's not like somebody's gonna be here to.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to be here all day. That's, is it possible to have somebody available when somebody needs an inspection? Like you said, if you're not ready on Tuesday to schedule with you Thursday, you're
Yeah.
not seeing an inspection until next Tuesday.
Yeah,
And in my line of work,
well.
that adds up to
well,
thousands real quick.
Yeah, I understand. If it's Tuesdays or Thursdays and you're not ready on I'm here Thursday. If you're not ready Thursday, it's Tuesday.
Right.
I understand that.
That's
But
why, is it possible to have somebody else that could do a
for
Friday?
Friday or Monday,
Could be, if you dig footers
that would be up to
on
my.
Thursday.
Yeah.
in June,
Yep.
you're digging again Tuesday
But-
morning before you can look.
In your packets,
Right.
when you get the permit application, everything's there, the days we cover, everything's there.
Right.
So you're gonna schedule a footing inspection for a Wednesday, you didn't read the packet. And, that's 2-3 weeks prior to you starting construction when I issue your permit, or even a week. You get the permit application if you read the policy and procedures.
So that means you give your guys off on
No,
Thursday and Friday, and you come in and dig on Monday. I mean, it's tough on employees.
like I said, we give the contractor enough notice when he picks up the application, saying, I'm here Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Right.
Then he applies for the permit. Then we have our plan review, so that's a week or two. We issue the permit, he comes in, pays for it, then he schedules his construction. So he's had 2 or 3 weeks to plan to dig a footer, so I can inspect it on Tuesday or Thursday.
God doesn't always honor.
No, I
that.
understand that.
With the rainstorm, it makes, it'll dog you hard, I mean.
I understand, I get the
Doesn't mean,
same.
is it possible to have one of the other guys do a full
That-
inspection?
You would have to ask Rich that. We have a guy
That's the
covered.
main complaint I get, is
Yeah.
just, hey, look, I'm
If
sorry,
Harry-
I can't wait.
If Harry's in West Bradford
It's
on
possible.
Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I'm sure Harry would pop over here and do a footing inspection. I'm sure we could do it. I don't know what Harry covers in West Bradford,
Mhm.
but I know when Harry's out, I cover for him.
Right,
On the days I'm here,
okay.
I might pop into West Bradford, do an inspection or two, and pop back here.
Mhm.
But that is a possibility, yes.
That's the biggest complaint
I
I get,
will,
is just the lack of availability for inspection.
I will talk to Rich O'Brien about that
Okay.
and see if that is a possibility of,
Yeah,
Someone-
almost,
I can
almost
do
like
that.
somebody on call, or, be
Yeah,
able
I
to
mean,
call in on a
that's
Monday and
the
get a
biggest gripe I
Wednesday
get.
if needed.
well, they have to give us 24 hours notice.
Right,
You know what I mean? So they call in on a Friday and they want a Monday inspection.
right.
We would have to get notified that when he calls in on that Friday, so we could have somebody here Monday.
Right, so you can make sure
Yeah,
Harry,
he calls-
make sure Harry wasn't booked all day Friday, or Monday.
Well, even if they want it at 9 o'clock and Harry can't get here till 10 or 11, at least we're, in the UCC, you have 24 hours. You have 24 hours before the inspection. So like if someone gets sick, or we have 20, if you want to Monday inspection, it has to be done sometime that day.
Right,
I give it time as a courtesy, to make my schedule.
right, but it makes your day easier too, because you know when you're
Correct.
gonna be there.
Correct, yes. But no, I will ask Rich that that's your intention, that someone can cover Monday,
Odd
Wednesdays, and
days.
Fridays, odd days, to do an inspection or two that is requested. We can do that. I can make that request.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, I'm sure there's, obviously the cost associated with that.
Oh, yeah,
And
I
all
mean,
that.
Now, the
Just-
cost would still be an inspection probably from the permit.
Right.
Okay,
You know what I mean? It would still be part of that
it's still an
permit.
inspection out of the same.
It's still an
permit.
inspection, you know?
Right.
I know he wouldn't send somebody from like, King of Prussia to come out here.
Right.
But we have Franny's and Chad's Ford, which is only about 12 miles away. It's a half hour, 20-minute drive.
Right.
So it's not like we have two inspectors in this area, pretty much, and he's in Pocopson too, so Franny does Chad's Ford, Delco, and Pocopson, Chester County. So we have guys in the area, and I will send him that email tomorrow.
That'd be great. And then, we just have, if that works out,
Yeah.
just how that would work for, because normally they would call in and try to schedule with you.
Yeah, I had a
If
guy
they
call
call
me.
in, then they would, we'd have to give another
Yeah.
number or
I had
something,
a
whatever
guy-
it might be.
I had a guy call me Monday morning over at Nassau Lane, wanted to take pictures of the footings for the new roof over the deck. And he wanted to pour money. I said, I can't do it, because it says, pictures, have to check the bottom of the footers,
Right.
So I went out today, I explained it to him, went out today, no problem. And, he kept the job rolling, he passed his inspection and kept going. But it happens. It happens in my other township too. Why can't you come Tuesday? I'm not here Tuesday.
Right.
Yeah, we're just trying to see, if we can improve the service levels a little, or make
Okay.
it a little easier on everybody,
Yeah, you guys are getting a little busier,
Yeah.
That's fine. But I don't think, we'll do the inspections, I don't think they'll do the office work.
No, that's
The
fine.
office work, that wasn't really a complaint,
Okay.
it was just, lack of availability
All right.
for inspection.
I will, and I can always forward that, like if the request does come in and the girls can forward it to me,
Then you can reform.
well, I'll forward it to my office and they can
They can
disperse
pick
the
them up,
inspection,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out that whole process. Just to
Sounds
make
like
sure.
all you gotta do is coordinate it.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Um,
it doesn't happen every week, so.
Right, yeah, it's just for those
Once in a
times
blue
it
moon,
does
yeah.
and all that. I guess some of the other questions that we've had recently are, how do you see it in maybe other townships that you guys serve as far as handling complaints? The way we handle it here is, there's a formal
In writing.
complaint in writing, and then you'll go look at it. Some people have said maybe we should have somebody going around looking for major issues, or versus, how much you're policing everybody's personal property.
Right.
Like, what have you seen in other townships?
I can just tell you, in the township I'm in, East Town, and the township that I came from before Keystone was Bethel Township. We always had a policy of in writing, okay, had to be in writing, had to have the complainant's name and address, and who they were complaining about with the proper address. That way, we don't go out on a wild goose chase. If I go down the road and I see someone, have an illegal shed, when was the shed put in? I'm not knocking on someone's door and that shed could have been put in 15 years ago. Was there a permit required when I wasn't here? Stuff I'm not the zoning policeman, I'm the zoning official. In your ordinances, it says written complaint, and that's what I enforce, what's in the book. Okay, if I see something going in illegal, that's different. Like someone putting a fence up and I know there's not a permit, or re-roofing a roof, or building a deck, and I check and there's no permit, then I go knock on the front door. Okay, but if, like you said, I've been here 2 days a week for 9.5 years, basically, and that's even when we were doing the developments. I'm not here all the time. I can't assume. You have homeowners calling and complaining, what's he doing, invasion of privacy or whatever. I have to go out on a written complaint. I know that's the way I do it in East Town, and that's the way I did it in Bethel Township for 12 years as a zoning officer there.
Yeah, because I mean, it seems to make sense, but you know, it's, like I said, it's kind of been discussed here about,
Yeah,
is there more we should be doing to police
Well,
some,
you-
at least for like major health issues,
You
you know?
could
we
have,
those.
you could have another township appointed official as a zoning as a liaison to a zoning officer. Of course, you'd have to pay him separate, that lives in the township. There's no certifications to be a zoning officer by the state. Can be anybody, any resident with any type of background. And the thing is, to enforce anything, you need an ordinance. You know, it's either in the codified ordinances, it's a standalone ordinance, but it has to be an ordinance that they can go in and cite chapter, verse, you know, penalties, you know, give them a reasonable amount of time to fix it, which is anywhere from 15 to 30 days. And then nothing happens, then you have a citation or a civil suit filed, and you go to district court. And that involves a lot of added expense.
Yeah, and it's just, you know, for me, I'm curious to hear what, you know, some other municipalities might be doing.
Yeah,
As far
I
as
would
that
check
goes.
with Salisbury and Cowan.
Yeah, Callen's uses Cedarville, whatever they see, you know.
Yeah.
They write it up if they see it.
If they say it.
But see, I guess part of the written thing is, for billing, it's nice, because that part doesn't come out of the permits.
No,
All of
no,
that is
that,
separate billing.
that BS would be off of miscellaneous, right?
Yeah, that's per diem on each job,
Correct.
I mean, on each complaint.
Correct.
There have been people that don't like signing their name to that,
Mhm.
because the last thing you want is your neighbor pissed at you, especially today,
Mhm.
because neighbors can be,
But if you ever go to court, you gotta have that written complaint.
you have to have a written,
You should.
why do you need a written complaint? It's kinda like a,
Because it proves to the judge that,
if you build an illegal house, why would I have to complain about a house built without a permit when there's an ordinance says you can't build a house without a permit? That would, you know, be under your
Well,
job description.
but that's
Hey,
under-
I saw this house that didn't have a permit, therefore, that's all you need to go to court.
that's true, but I'm talking complaints about trash, you know.
Trash is still
Stuff,
trash
yeah.
regardless who saw it.
I understand that,
right? I mean,
but-
once you see it, it's
But
out,
your
it's out of
ordinance-
the neighbor's hands, right?
Your ordinance says written complaint,
Uh,
okay? Under the zoning administration.
I mean, as far as court, you don't have to have the written, I mean,
I will-
once you see the trash, it's trash.
I understand that,
Right.
but when you go to court, here, you give everybody the documents. I mean, to the plaintiff and the defendant, we all share our
When
documents.
you go to court, we get way too much paper.
I hear it,
That-
I hear it.
you know, but That was my question, was, you know, it's in the ordinance, so we're stuck with it, but.
Correct.
I think another question we had, and it may have been posed to you, is, you know, kind of, you know, I see, you know, you clean some of this stuff up, which is great, but, and, you know, we're talking about the editorial legal analysis and all that of our code, you know, are there areas based on what you've seen here in the 9.5 years that you feel, you know, because there's been some people saying, you know, it's kind of ambiguous or contradicting to each other
Yeah,
within our own book?
And I have a zoning hearing board coming up the end of the month where they challenge the validity of the zoning ordinance, and so it's all a matter of interpretation, you know what I mean? I feel your code's pretty good. But there are always some gray areas in a matter of interpretation. There's some new things always coming out, like, the pods you stick at your house, you know what I mean? They throw them in the front yard. Is it a shed? Is it a temporary storage? You know, how long can you have temporary storage? You don't have that, you know, there's things there that.
You just have to write the ordinance, how long it's
Yeah, but,
temporary.
correct, I mean, you as a board would have to kind of try to keep up on that, and, you know, write the ordinance, have a hearing, you know, and do all that.
Is that something where, like, when something like that comes up, you know, that, you know, I guess as we're looking at it, and maybe we have some outdated codes, or, you know, stuff that just doesn't make sense anymore, is that, you know, maybe as you come across it, or once a quarter or something,
We
send
can
us a
make a
list
note.
of,
Yeah,
maybe you guys should look at these areas and, you know, just a few points on it, you don't have to do a full analysis, but, you know, these things seem to be contradicting, you know, I know the planning commission does some of that.
That's-
You know, but to hear that come to the board, to know, hey, listen, this might be worth
If,
taking the time and doing the legal cost to rewrite this, to make
Right.
more sense, to meet our needs today instead of from 1984, you know?
if the planning commission and I, if we come across it on a quarterly basis, maybe me and the chairman could sit down one day or one afternoon and just compare notes. And then I would rather have it come from the planning commission to.
And that's fine, but you know.
But I'm just saying, I'd rather have Dennis and his board send it to you.
Right, I guess
Yeah.
our
Through
point
me.
is, you know, you're kind of in it every day,
Yeah,
you know, so you see it more often and how it's
yeah,
interpreted.
but mine's
and-
pretty repetitive. Mine's like R1, R2.
Yeah,
Well, I had one today, about the one-room schoolhouse. Here's an interesting one. Zoned R2, so under, special exception. Greenhouse, commercial greenhouses are permitted, so that's zoning hearing board. So I'm talking to the guy, you know, and you look at the commercial greenhouses, it's for growing. Doesn't say anything about sales. You know what I mean? So he wants to put in, you know, like make it a sales place, landscaping, kind of like, you know, sell flowers and, but raise the, grow everything there on the property. Take the building, make it the sales center, you know, save the architecture and, you know, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, I'm telling him it's historic, he has to go to the historic committee to get all that approved. And he just thought it was interesting that, you know, the greenhouses are approved as a special exception. It doesn't really say retail sales in section 17, you know, blah, 1722, you know, what green, and then you look at the definition of a commercial greenhouse. You know, it doesn't say anything about retail sales. It's like you could grow it there and send it away. So there's a little conflict, you know, maybe, you know, for the use of the property. But when you go to the zoning hearing board for a special exception, you can always ask the board for those stipulations, and they can grant those stipulations through the special exception. But that's the way I left it with them.
because I think maybe just some more open lines of communication, you know, with the planning commission, with the historic commission, I think would go a long way to help correct some of these. Like I said, even if
Yeah.
it's quarterly or every 6 months, depending on what you
Yeah.
find, you know, that kind of communication, going through the planning commission is fine, because that's, you know, one of your tasks, what you
Right.
guys do.
And then
But to have that come before the board, so we know that there's issues, you know, half the time it's,
Yeah, but I'm
Just
there
don't
every
know.
day.
yeah,
I'm there interpreting and giving everybody the explanation,
right.
you know,
And
I mean,
yeah, if you
that's
see
my
these-
job.
Yeah, discrepancies,
And I can't
Yeah.
get into the discrepancies, because I have to interpret the zoning hearing.
Right.
The zoning ordinance. So I tell him that's your application to take in front of the zoning hearing board, and that's their decision, not
Right.
mine. Just like, I can't tell nobody, no, you can't do it. Because I can deny it, but I always have to give them the option to go to the zoning hearing board.
right,
I mean, that is, no matter what I do,
right.
you know.
Yeah, like I said, I think we're just trying to get, you know,
Yeah,
some more
but-
open lines of communication.
But there's some
working,
things we
so-
run into day to day, you know.
Yeah, and
And
like I
don't
said,
forget-
if that's quarterly, you know,
Yeah.
if you wanna meet with
But
Dennis
you're
and all that.
95% residential here, you know, you're R1, R2, you know.
Right.
And, you know, your commercial's like the little hole in the donut, you know, it is,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So, when they come up, it's very far and few,
Right.
everything is setbacks, sheds, pools,
yeah,
you know, it's pretty standard, your ordinance is pretty good on that.
right. I guess, I mean, yeah, just the ones where we could clean it up and make it
But
a
they're the
little
ones-
more, you know, obvious, or, you
Yeah.
know,
And we can work on that, I think Dennis and I
less
can-
gray area, you know, and, with the historic commission too, because you mentioned them, I know they said they had some issues that they feel weren't being addressed, I don't know, I mean, I know they have letters that they supposedly sent to you,
Yeah,
so.
there's a lack of communication there between me and the historic commission. Don't know why. I send people to them, you know what I mean, or sometimes they just go to him, not come through me. And then they just start their project and say, oh, well, I got approval for the historic commission. Well, you know, it's like, well, you still have to come through me, you know. So we run into that, and I don't know why, you know, it just happens. You know, I mean, I have one right now that, we're just getting straightened out. And I know the farmhouse was one, but we sent him to them for the demo. He went there.
That's what about Colorado.
Yeah, and that's
Now,
where
who stopped him, he or the historical commission, when he was starting the demo? Was that,
I stopped him originally and sent him there, and then he went to the historical commission. And then,
actually got stopped?
the day I called him, he was having brain surgery the next day. I mean, it's a long story. Apparently there's,
Is that the reason he gave it up after that?
I think so.
Then he sold it since then, correct?
It's for sale now.
Yeah, I think it changed ownership.
I've talked to 3 people
Okay.
in the last 2 weeks about different uses of that property.
Oh, yeah. All interested folks.
Well, one was greenhouse, 2 were residential.
I mean, they were all people interested in
Yeah.
purchasing.
Yeah, and I think once you tell them it's it was a one-room schoolhouse and has to go, anything you do to that building has to go to the historic
Right.
commission.
That changes everybody's interest rate. It either piques their interest or changes it.
There's a certain, it limits the market,
Right.
you know what I mean? It limits the market to, the person that wants to go in there and restore that property.
But yeah, I mean, I guess, it sounds like you try, but, anything like that, emails to the historic society, commission and all that, or letters or whatever, because I know there's just been, concerns there from them about the communication and things
Yeah.
not getting addressed that they feel should be addressed, and maybe they're not stuff that you can necessarily control.
Yeah,
But-
I mean, the scope is, when they apply to me, when anybody applies to me, I have to check to make sure it's historic. If it is, I have 5 days to notify the commissioner, copy the application, and leave a set of plans for him for the scheduled next meeting. Okay? If it's not, then I do my normal plan review and,
Yeah, like I said, it's just something I think, we're finding out about and want to
Yeah.
be more cognizant of and make sure that those lines of communication are open
Are
both
open, yeah.
ways. And, just, help people out and make sure things are
I mean,
getting addressed accordingly.
Yeah, and I think I should talk to Joe maybe, and, if there's a discussion about a property with a building permit, maybe I should be contacted or notified, maybe with their minutes, or he could just forward the minutes to me, or, give me a heads up or something, because I don't attend the meetings.
Right.
You know, what I mean, their
Understand.
meetings,
Yeah,
their meetings
yeah,
are
we're not
Monday
asking
night or I come in Tuesday morning, and then I'm here Thursday, and, by that time, I forgot about it, because I got 50 other.
No, yeah, we're not asking you to
Yeah.
attend their meetings, but,
No.
yeah, and that's fine, if you wanna reach out to him, that's fine, we
Yeah.
just wanna make sure
Yeah.
everybody gets on the same, closer to the same page.
Yeah, I understand.
So,
Yeah, no, that's good for the town.
Speaking of the historical meetings, my presence has been requested next Wednesday.
Okay,
And I know one question from the chairman is gonna be Marty's old pub in Morton.
yeah, I just got the plumbing permit for that today. Were the
Were the
be-
footers put in out front before he came to you?
Yeah. He said he got approval from the historical commission.
I mean, that was Buddy's heart, so I know he's gonna ask me that question.
Yeah.
I may as well ask you that way. I'll know.
Rick eventually wanted to bring the pub back, okay? And we went down there and talked, and he got approval, from what I was told, from the historical side, to redo the siding and the front, and redo all that, which in the building code, if you wanna replace the siding and the windows, you don't need a permit. I said, go ahead. And then he came back and said, well, I wanna make it a pub. I said, well, it's zoned R1. I said, he goes, well, it was a pub. And I said, well, when the pub goes away for a year, the existing non-conforming goes back and reverts. I said, let's go to the zoning hearing board. And this and that, and plus he went to put a patio out back, have some open dining. There's no impervious, he's way over his impervious coverage, so he need relief for that. And, so he kind of piddle-paddled and came back and said he's going to just make it R1. Just make it a residential house, probably rent it. So he's in the midst of, I got his plumbing permit application today. I think he dropped it off Friday. His building construction drawings should come in next week. And then he would have a permit to proceed. But he did pour the left side of the foundation, put a new foundation in there, and restructured that whole corner, because it was shot.
No, it's amazing it's still standing.
I was down there like 4 or 5 times, saw, you know, the construction going on, he used all 2x6 construction plates. And, so I just told him to have his engineer sign and seal the drawings, you know, for the footers and all. And then we can move forward. I mean, there's a lot of rot in that building, and, you know, it's nice to have someone try to take care of that.
Well, yeah, it's either that or it falls down too.
Exactly. So, but we've been in contact for the last 6, 7 months. And he did get his sign permit for that sign he replaced for me that Buddy complained about. And the 2 new signs on the building across the street, he got those sign permits. He replaced that. So, you know, Rick's a slow processor.
Is he a local guy or?
He lives across the street.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, but, you know.
Yes, it was in his interest to get that building looking better anyway.
Yeah, so I'm trying to work with him, you know, and he's not gonna cover anything else up, you know, as far as walls and floors. But, so we've been working pretty closely with him. I'm down here once a month, you know, on my way out of town.
Any other questions from board?
Thanks.
Thanks a lot.
That covers it.
Okay,
Yeah,
so, we'll get back to you about some additional coverage on
inspection.
possible Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays with some notification, and we can go from there.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Rob, appreciate it.
Have a good night.
You too. American Legal?
Hi. How are you this
Good.
evening?
Good.
My name's Reese Getty. I am an attorney with American Legal. I'm the Pennsylvania attorney. I'm from just a bit south of Pittsburgh, actually. Rich Fromeyer was our salesperson who put together the proposal for you and probably spoke first with Ms. Martin or Ms. Foley.
He spoke with me.
Okay. So, do you have any questions for me, or should I just tell you what we can do for you?
I think we're trying to get an idea of, you know, what can be done, you know, obviously controlling the cost, but, you know, where it kind of goes from there and how the suggestions work and how the changes might go into effect and all that.
All right, well, I can help you with that. As I said, I'm the Pennsylvania attorney. I've been practicing, it'll be 24 years towards the end of this year. I've been doing municipal work pretty much the whole time. So when we would get your code, as I understand it, you're looking at just having us continue to supplement your code, meaning, you know, we're not gonna do any major overhauls structurally wise and organizational wise. We're gonna follow along with what you have. But the legal review part of it will allow me or somebody under my supervision to look at it and well, what I do literally is go through every page and I read through it. What are you citing? I look at your statutes. Are they inconsistent with what the current statutes are? Have they been repealed and renumbered, and are they in a different code book than what they were when you initially enacted the ordinance or codified your code book? So we give you suggestions as to how we can remedy those things. We're not going to make any substantive changes to your code book at all without your approval first. We never do that. So what this is, it's a legal review and report, and I printed out one. I know that Rich probably sent one to you, but here's a township one. Now, I've been doing pretty much all of these. What that is one that I did for a township. It may be organized pretty similarly to the way that your code book is organized, because most Pennsylvania code books tend to be organized in the same manner. So what I do is I go through, like I said, page by page. And I look at statutes, what's different in your code book from what the statute might require, or how it has changed. You know, different subsections may have been added that may be pertinent to you, they may not be pertinent to you. So what I'll do is I'll say, hey, listen, this is what your current provision states, this is what the statute requires. Do you think you need to add these few additional things? Now, I give it back to you. I'm not going to tell you definitely you should do it, because you know your code book, you know your township, you know what you need to do. There are some things, especially as your code enforcement officer was talking about and Mr. Herzog was saying, there are things that are very specific to you. You know, you may not need to include additional provisions that are changes in the statute themselves. I'm familiar, I get advance sheets from the Pennsylvania Bar Association, so I know what new case law has come out, what the new things in municipal, how the judges have changed things that affect the municipal statutes specifically. So if it's pertinent to you, I mention it. Now,